first. Everybody looking at the camera. 4, 3, 2, 1, Carol.
I really think that Lainie's story, as well as many of our stories, really epitomizes what Clear Thoughts is all about. It really gets to the core of our mission. With the proper funding and the proper awareness and attention to dementia, I really feel that a cure is possible, a drug that will stop the progression of the disease. And had we had that in place, perhaps Lainie's husband would still be with us today. As with any disease, there sometimes is not a rhyme or reason of why somebody gets it. Again, my own personal story, we had no family history of it. My father was a brilliant man, again biased admittedly. He was physically fit, a marathon runner, and it was certainly something that we did not see coming. We are quite excited to announce our new 2-tier fundraising goals. The first tier being a $1 million capital campaign. Yes, very aggressive for where we are today, but we have very high hopes, and that is the amount of funding, the very minimal amount of funding that's necessary to take a drug through clinical trial and get it to the market, which is our goal. We also have promised to do some interim funding on an annual basis up to $50,000 so that we can keep our donors aware of the progress that we're making as we continue to work towards our larger goal of 1 million. We now have 5 board members, 7 advisors, and 3 scientific advisors, all of which are world-renowned experts in dementia research. We are interested in bringing a drug to market that will stop the progression of the disease and eventually eradicate it forever.
I watched my father, who was always the light of every room that he ever entered. He had a phenomenal sense of humor, never complained, go from a very robust, loving father of 7 to someone who couldn't remember his favorite song. A lot of people put dementia in a particular box. The box is people are getting older, it's a natural form of getting older, and that's not true. You know, my grandfather forgot where he put the car keys. Isn't that funny? Oh, they must be getting older. And it's almost, in some ways, thought of in a lighthearted way. But when you really think about it, those are symptoms of something actually happening in their brain that is treatable. It's not funny. The statistics are staggering. In 2015, over 47 million people worldwide are estimated to have a form of dementia. By 2030, that number will be 70 million.
I did not realize how much my dad had been covering for my mother. When he passed away, you know, we had to take her, and she was diagnosed with a form of dementia, and she struggles. So we moved her literally across the street. All I can do is try and help find a cure, and that's, as a board advisor, I'm excited to be part of this team to do whatever I can do to advance the cause. Definitely every charity runs up against this. How much money goes out in administrative expenses, how much money they can raise in a capital campaign. I like CTF, the way they're attacking things, because it's a direct attack on the jugular. We are going to cure this disease.
It's organizations like Clear Thoughts that sort of step out and say, this is a big problem. We need to fund this important research in an area like dementia where the government isn't adequately funding it, and the pharmaceutical industry has sort of stepped away and is waiting for someone else to do the heavy lifting. We believe that there's a better way to discover drugs for these diseases, so we created these screening platforms that actually created the disease in a dish. And then we looked for drugs that stopped it. So we're in the clinic now with our first in class, meaning it's the first drug ever to address this disease in this way. Clear Thoughts stands alone as being a foundation that takes all of its donations and supports translational research that leads to new drugs. Focus on the patient. fund the research that delivers meaningful therapeutics, not things that just improve the symptoms, but things that slow the course of disease. And soon enough, these terrible diseases, which seem intractable now, will actually be manageable.
Matthew was diagnosed with frontotemporal degeneration, or dementia, in July of 2010. For being 6.5 feet tall guy who looked way too young to be a doctor, he calmed people, he was compassionate, and in the prime of his career, physically in great shape. He ate the right foods. He stimulated his brain every day in all kinds of ways. A big reader, all the things you hear that you should do to keep your senses about you. Matthew had celebrated his 50th birthday in December, and he passed away in May. So he made it to 50, and we made it to our 25th wedding anniversary. And those were milestones that I thought would be sort of in the middle of our life together. There is a genetic component to this. Some families are predisposed to Alzheimer's. It looks like Matthew's paternal side is predisposed to this frontotemporal dementia. So there is a time of the essence feeling for me personally to hope and hope for a cure.
Funding is our barrier.
Awareness is our opportunity.
Research is our salvation.
Time is our enemy.
And you are our hope.